Two things that Kenyans are talking about today. Number one, salary reviews in the public sector. We'll be talking about them this morning. And number two, the talks. I don't want to call them bipartisan talks, because we do know that the bipartisan talks indeed did fail. Yesterday, it looks as if the first inaugural meeting that was supposed to set rules for what they were supposed to talk about has been officially done. So the consensus is they know what they're going to talk about. One thing that came out yesterday is that the needs of Kenyans need to be put ahead of every other thing, and that there's no talk for Lookuptv. My name is statehousekenya. Thank you very much for choosing Lookuptv this morning. There's a flurry of issues that we're going to talk about, this included as well in a morning conversation. We are online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. We come back and we're taking you straight to whatever it is that you're waking up to in your daily lives. The standard this morning, the summary is quite simple. You want to understand it, that some allowances have been stricken off. On the side of those allowances, then there is a salary increase. So the standard this morning is saying winners and losers in SRC salary review. That is a big headline here. Now, teachers will get the largest chunk of the salary increment announced yesterday, with county workers also reaping from the raise. Now, here's the thing. Teachers will get a lion's share of the increment in totality. That is 9.5 billion worth of increment. National government civil servants to share 1.8 billion. And the losers, essentially, if you look at it, then is that civil servants are set to lose allowances, gold mine, as SRC standardized as allowance. Now, luxury hotels in major cities also to feel the impact of the standardized DSM. We'll be talking about that. Judiciary and state officers get a fraction of the 1.4% of the total increment. That's the story. You're going to read it, then you have to go all the way to page 4 of the standard. Then after that, on page, what page is this? We're telling you what page that is. Just below that, then the story of how rivals now promise to put country first as talks begin. That's the story on the talks that did begin at the Bomas of Kenya yesterday at 11:30 a.m. as promised. Azimio team leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Kenya Kwanza team leader Kimani Ichung'wah, and TNT member of parliament pictured right there on the front page of the standard. And if you look at them, yes, we did get that particular communique from them on how the talks are supposed to go down, and we shall be keeping a tabs on it. By the way, the details of these talks are going to feature heavily on our website on www.lookuptv.co.ke. So make a point of visiting that particular website, so you can also be a beneficiary of that. On page 6, we're going to read a story on in the education sector on how there's a shock now for students after universities ignore fee directive. That particular story covered on our page 6. There's a story here on how Joseph now officially quit Safaricom. It's essentially end of an era, and how Lenana Bungoma bag quarter slot in school games. By the way, it's big story on exactly how this does go down. Now, for those of us who know high school football, you do know exactly how big it is. Good. Now, let's cross over to the Daily Nation this morning. They're talking about the big salary review. Now, teachers, police officers, and the disciplined forces are large, as well as workers in county governments, are the biggest beneficiaries in the latest salary review after their take-home pay was raised by higher rates than public servants. That particular story on page 7. Oof, all right. The Daily Nation this morning has given you those particular percentages. If we look at Parliament state offices, the salary increment of 0.4%, executive state officers 0.6%, judiciary state officers 1.4%, county state officers 1.9%, all the way to teaching service, that has 44.2% in terms of the biggest increment. And by the way, if you look at even the employment quotas around these particular sectors, again, the education sector with 20,000 teachers employed, also an additional 36,000 to be sought as well this year. Good. Now, it's true that some 15 members of parliament are yet to utter a word in house a year on. The particular story has been covered on page 10, the scorecard. So get to read whether your member of parliament has essentially opened their mouth in parliament to debate on issues that are pertinent to majority of Kenyans. Now, there's a story on pages 8 on how the ombudsman has exposed a rot at the immigration department, and Kenya's backed 25 million shillings for their innovations. Now, Kenya innovators Peter Njeri and Esther Kimani were vetted at the Global Award ceremony, recognizing individuals whose work is inclined towards ending extreme poverty and its systemic cause. That particular story has been covered on page 2 of the Daily Nation. That particular story on that mother who was discovered dead after 9 months. Now, police say that she could have been killed. That story again, it's a developing story that has been covered on page 3 of the Daily Nation. That's it. Now, you do know, Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Majority of these stories are also covered there. For now, we take a tiny breather. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom where we get to see some of the stories that you're waking up to as well. Good morning. All right, welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Let's take a look at what it is that you're waking up to this morning in terms of your stories from our newsroom. Now, following calls by stakeholders for negotiation talks between Kenya Kwanza government and Azimio coalition Wednesday morning saw the two political factions officially meet at the Bomas of Kenya to address contentious issues facing Kenyans, top among them the high cost of living. Stanley Lugaria pitched camp at the Bomas of Kenya and now brings us up to speed on exactly what transpired yesterday.
Weighted bipartisan talks between Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza coalitions have today kicked off after a back and forth show of might that rocked the two political rival factions in the country, leading to intervention of respective stakeholders to call for dialogues so as to seek resolution of the political tantrums in the country.
We have held a very successful meeting this morning, and as indicated, we have agreed that we will begin the dialogue process once we frame the agenda items, and I think we should be ready with that by Monday. As agreed, we will have the secretariat that will be supported by Parliament.
On Wednesday, the teams laid bare the terms and conditions around the talks and have retreated until Monday to draft the framework of how the tete-a-tete will be conducted.
We shall not negotiate, and this is important for us, for any form of power sharing with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance or put any personal interest ahead of the interests of our people. Fellow Kenyans, we ask for your continued prayers and support so that we may find a lasting solution to the challenges that bedevil our nation.
Among the issues expected to take center stage of the dialogue include the cost of living menace and audit of the 2022 presidential election results, matters greatly opposed by the Kenya Kwanza faction, restructuring and reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and related matters, measures to prevent interference with political parties and outstanding constitutional matters, governance issues, adequate checks and balances, and the big question of boundaries delimitation.
We have heavy issues before us. We know we will agree. We may disagree on some, but we all engage in good faith and with mutual respect for each other and for Kenyans and in the best interest of the country.
Azimio coalition, through its team led by Kalonzo Musyoka, has insisted that it will ensure the discussions are tied and address the plight of common mwananchi.
We have to agree on how we frame the agenda because the two sides have the different agenda items. But more importantly, you have said we are going to work as a team.
I'm here with my colleagues from various counties. We have come, as you're aware today, that is the beginning of the national dialogue on various issues that affect the nation. And we have come as a caucus of members who have similar issues from the regions where we come from to present those issues. We have come to take this early opportunity to have our issues captured as the national conversation begins.
We've been given an appointment to come on Monday to formally present our request. So we will be here on Monday after receiving a communication from the two chairs of the bilateral talks.
There seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel in the long run after two political factions, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, agreed to have the bipartisan talks beginning Monday next week. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Lugaria Stanley. Now, as the 10-member committee officially embarked on talks on Wednesday to tackle the big issues raised by the two opposing sides, President William Ruto has emphatically ruled out any negotiations that would see a handshake arrangement with the Azimio team. Now, the head of state has additionally ruled out discussions on the audit of the IEBC servers as demanded by the Azimio leader Raila Odinga, saying matters elections were settled when the electoral body IEBC declared the results. Our reporter Henry Tene now looks at the grandstanding witnessed on both sides, with the talks at the infancy stage, and files the following report.
As the discussions by the 10-member committee entrusted with the responsibility of finding agreeable formula on contentious issues pitting the government and opposition are set to begin Wednesday next week, signs of another winding tussle are showing up over the issues on the table for discussions. President Ruto, who is on a 5-day tour of Central Region, has told opposition any notion of handshake arrangement will not be entertained by his administration.
Walilete fujo kwa Moi, wakapatiwa cooperation. Wakakuja wakasumbua mzee wetu Kibaki, mpaka wakawapatia nusu mkate. Wamekuja wakazungusha Uhuru, mpaka wakaenda na handshake. Mimi nawatangazia mapema mchana. Hii ya hasla hii. Hiyo wasahau na wasahau. Kwa hii serikali hakuna handshake. Hii serikali hakuna nusu mkate. Kama kuna kazi imebaki ni kazi ya hawa vijana ndio tuwafanyie kazi.
The head of state is also adamant there will be no discussions around the audit of the IEBC servers. This is one of the issues Azimio has fronted for dialogue. However, President Ruto says elections are done and dusted.
Munataka tuendelee ati kuongea mambo ya saba? Ati wao sijui kiongozi gani atapata nini?
Wewe rais ni wetu na sisi tulikuchagua tukijua nini tunafanya. Tulijaribu kushawishiwa na yule rais wetu aliondoka tukuache, tukamwambia tukuachi.
Mimi nilikuwa nasukuma mzee kwa mlima, mayanga ile kuaguka tuliaguka hujaiona. Na huko siwezi rudi tena.
Nyinyi mnataka watu ya kuingia serikali kupitia kwa dirisha.
The head of state continues to blame Raila over what he terms as politics of threats and intimidation. Ruto says Raila Odinga is known for using violence to access the government through the back door. He now reiterates he will not allow the opposition to conduct another series of protests that will be destructive.
Kenya will never again entertain currency around violence. Violence can never be part of the currency of the political equation of the Republic of Kenya.
While launching several projects in Nyeri, President Ruto has cautioned the opposition group Azimio against engaging in early politics and has advised them to allow elected leaders serve the citizens.
Sasa kazi ya viongozi wananchi walimaliza. Hakuna tena mjadala itafanyika ati kiongozi fulani apate chochote. Ile mazungumzo iko ni vile vijana hawa watawapangia ajira. vile mkulima mazao yake itapata soko, vile Kenya tutazalisha uchumi, vile tutafukuza umaskini, vile tutashughulika na matibabu ya wananchi, Kenya ibadilike. Ama namna gani?
Even before the discussions proper begin, fears are now growing the strong hardline stance adopted by both sides might frustrate the process that has resulted in relative peace in the country. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
It's a campaign. Was it? It's a campaign. All right, let's move on then to the next story this morning. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has confirmed that the Security Department was aware of the presence of WorldCoin in the country, although its activities were not clearly defined. And the Cabinet Secretary for Information and Technology, Elido Walo, has explained that the government has placed strategies to ensure that people's personal information are not at risk. Ruga Ival with the details.
The investigation carried out by DCI reveals that the WorldCoin registration company was not legally registered in Kenya. The Cabinet Secretary for Internal Security, Professor Kithure Kindiki, appeared before the House to answer the questions arising regarding the registration of this company. Kindiki has said that there is nothing to fear because the data of Kenyans is still safe.
On the question whether the Business Registration Services Department or the Registrar of Business Names had registered this company, the answer is in the negative. However, I would like to bring to the attention of the House, Honorable Speaker, that this entity appeared to have carried its operations through a Kenyan agency. In other words, the company itself, although the company had been registered as a controller of data, the actual operations of processing data and harvesting data seems to have been coordinated through an agency, a properly registered business owned and managed by Kenyans.
The Cabinet Secretary for Technology, Eliud Owalo, presenting the report of the results of the investigation against the registration. Owalo has claimed that the WorldCoin company was registered on April 18th of this year, but its activities have been continuing for more than 1 year, stating that in the month of May, the Department of Data Collection suspended its operation for 60 days.
1. The government has established and operationalized the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in conformity to the Data Protection Act 2019, Mr. Speaker. Further, the government has undertaken development and publication of the data protection regulations as at 31st December 2021. The government has also been conducting regular inspections and audits of entities registered as data controllers, Mr. Speaker, and data processors, and also undertaking regular investigations on breaches of the Data Protection Act 2019. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, the government has undertaken development and implementation of personal data training curriculum.
Additionally, according to Owalo, he has explained that the investigation of how the information registered will be used is still in progress.
The government has undertaken public sensitization on data privacy and cyber hygiene. In addition to the above, Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy has constituted a committee to look into regulatory reforms informed by emerging technologies, including but not limited to digital currencies such as cryptocurrency, Mr. Speaker. This is informed by the fact that the operational environment is dynamic, and as factors in play in that operational environment change, it is also incumbent upon us as government, Mr. Speaker, to continuously look at ways and means of reviewing our policies, laws and regulations in line with changes and emerging issues.
However, the lawmakers have raised a number of concerns in relation to the report presented by the Cabinet Secretaries Robert Mbowe, Member of Parliament for Kadhiani, fearing that the digital networks in Kenya are being hacked frequently, an issue that is risking the security of the data of Kenyans, giving an example of the hacking of the eCitizen network that happened recently.
The question I have for the Cabinet Secretary is, was there a lapse in intelligence service? Because what these people were doing must have been advertised. That is how they got Kenyans to go and get the service.
I want them to assure this House that the government of Kenya is going to invest in crime prevention so that we don't behave as if we are reactionary to carry out investigations. Maybe these people who came here, the WorldCoin, they have already gotten what they wanted.
The government is currently undertaking investigations to establish the intended objectives of the exercise by WorldCoin.
Ruga Ibal, Lookuptv.
Right, that particular story right there marks the end of our news this morning and sets the stage for our morning conversation. The question essentially is, talks have officially begun, and that is true. But things that we've watched this morning, the president and the deputy president, who have been accused of being still in campaign mode, were yesterday again fully in that mode. So the thing is, it is not clear on what we are to believe, because Kalonzo Musyoka is saying that there is not going to be any personal conversation or a power sharing deal, that what they want is to talk about the issues that majority of Kenyans are facing. That's it. So why these threats and tough conversations on the streets about how they do not want a power sharing deal? Do they know something that we do not know? Once we come back, we'll be joined by our guest this morning. I also already see Callistus Wafula right here in the studio with us this morning. We shall be introducing them one by one and get into that conversation. How are you doing, sir? Karibu sana. All right, all right.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
kaeni kitako, tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray, pray, pray. Pray, pray.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158 or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Praise the Lord and Bwana Yesu asifiwe sana. My name is Pastor Josiah. I'm from a ministry called Reconcilers World. God gives strength to the weary. I am, Jesus is speaking. He says, I am the door. Then he says, anyone who enters in through me will be saved. The Lord is my shepherd or shepherd. Then he says, I will always have everything I need. God desires to guide you. He's telling you that this day, don't just trust the Lord, but he's telling you, trust the Lord widely.
Assalamu alaikum. Siku ya leo tuko katika kaunti ya Kwale. Takriban watu 800 leo watapokea usaidizi wetu kwa hisani ya RUTO Foundation. Kwa hivyo ambatana na mimi siku ya leo tuone hali vipi.
Iko mbaya sana baba. Iko mbaya hali. Iko mbaya. Njaa tu.
Tunashukuru kwa grupu ya Tuliani Kayamba.
Nashukuru kupata msaada kidogo, unaweza kunisaidia kidogo.
Waizidi na imani hiyo hiyo.
Asante sana kwa RUTO, manake imebadilisha maisha, imetugusia maisha yetu na leo tunalala watu tofauti.
Na bwana nashukuru na Mungu akubarikieni.
As long as we go with that theme that ukicheza kila mtu ni mshindi, we will also continue to support.
Kwanza na wafurahikia sana, nataka tena wakija wanikumbuke mimi mzee wao.
Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
So the story we're telling today is a story of passion in practice that grows into business. We have partnered with the Youth Fund, talk to as many youth as possible and work with them, hold their hand. It is an expose of captains who have decided to take on challenges in different sectors and industries within the country.
My mentors had also not started as CEOs. They grew up and they showed me how they grew in the organizations. So that's what motivated me to actually do international business. And it was a good experience.
As an individual, support in bridging the care gap, part of me also to offer a solution. I want to leave this world a better place than I found it.
This is the Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Let's go. Let's go.
Praise the Lord and Bwana Yesu asifiwe sana. My name is Pastor Josiah. I'm from a ministry called Reconcilers World. God gives strength to the weary. I am, Jesus is speaking. He says, I am the door. Then he says, anyone who enters in through me will be saved. The Lord is my shepherd or shepherd. Then he says, I will always have everything I need. God desires to guide you. He's telling you that this day, don't just trust the Lord, but he's telling you, trust the Lord widely.
Kiangazi imedhiri sana katika area hii yetu ya Laikipia. Mara mingi sana katika Laikipia kuna wafugaji na kuna wakulima. Hakuna yule ambaye amesaidika, hata wakulima pia wajasaidika na wafugaji pia hawajasaidika. Lakini kwa siku ya leo tunasema kwamba RUTO Foundation imetusaidia sana, kwa sababu inalisha jamii ambaye hawana nguvu ya kupata lishe mahali moja au nyingine.
Tumekuwa tunakaa hoi. Ukweli kabisa, mimi siamini. Hata mtu mwingine kisu tumeleta hapo usiku, alikuwa amesimia. Alikuwa na siku 3 hajaumwa kitu. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru sana RUTO. Leo watoto wengi ameshiba.
Nashukuru Mungu kwa RUTO Foundation siku ya leo. Maana wamekuja at least manyumba 100 leo na 10 itaweza kunuka kitunguu jioni ya leo. Tulikuwa na njaa, si mchezo, ilikuwa na njaa, si ya ile ya kusema iko njaa.
Ya kwanza tumekuwa na watoto ambao wameshikwa na hata watu wazima na utapia mlo, na pia tukiangalia hii ni area ambayo imejaa watu ambao wana rely na mifugo, na mifugo mingi imeweza kuisha kwa sababu ya kiangazi, na tunashukuru sana the RUTO Foundation kwa msaada wao ambao wameweza. Asanteni sana.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the RUTO Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
Michezo na wachezaji, matukio na matokeo uwanjani. Tumejifunga kibwebwe kukuletea mbwembwe, si mazungumzo ya kusisimua. Ndiyo maana safu ya spoti ipo hapa kwa ajili yako. ZFC! Nami hapa nahodha Robert Chacha, si suisui, na kuandalia kipindi bomba cha safu ya spoti kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 ndani ya runinga nambari 1 ya michezo Lookuptv.
How do women do it? Will the real superheroes please stand up? Welcome to the best show on all things women. You can. Now we have to tell you, on our show, we're not just talk. We're mothers, wives, working women, your hosts, and the list goes on. We also know how to relax and have some fun. It's living the life. Yes, it is.
Teknolojia inazidi kubadilika kote duniani na hata kubadili mfumo wa kuendesha maisha hapa duniani. Leo hii tuliweza kutembea katika sehemu mbalimbali hapa jijini Nairobi, tukashuhudia jinsi sura ya biashara imeweza kubadilika kwa wale ambao wanaofanya biashara ndogo ndogo.
70.
Mabadiliko katika teknolojia yanazidi kuboresha shughuli nzima ya biashara. Wengi ambao wametambua na kutumia uwezo uliopo katika teknolojia hawajajutia.
All I have to do is switch on my app and wait to be connected to a client.
Mimi wateja wangu nawapata sawa WhatsApp, wengine wanapiga simu ama napiga picha mboga na watumia. Sasa ile mboga ambayo wanahitaji wananitumia hiyo picha na wachagulia. Wengine wao wanapiga simu na watengezea mboga.
Customer akiwa hata kwake ana request tu akiwa kwa nyumba na wewe uende kutafuta mtu. So hii kazi unaweza amsha hadi uko kwa nyumba uko umelala, haina stress.
Mfumo huu wa kufanya biashara umetengeneza familia kati ya wafanyabiashara na wateja. Mavuno ya faida maradufu ndio wimbo kwa wote ambao wamehusisha teknolojia katika biashara yao.
Cause one day unaweza make hata 2K dhao 3 kulingana na venye score zako ziko juu. So kama pointi ziko juu, sasa ndio unapewa kazi kwa wingi.
Usalama nao umezingatiwa kwa kina.
Labda mtu kuna kitu anataka kupelekwa mahali kama document. So ukirequest uko na details zangu zote. So hadi nikienda hiyo mzigo wako iko save.
Ni mwamko ambao umebadili sura nzima ya biashara.
Somewhere like before, you know the traditional taxi where you take client somewhere then you go back empty, because you are not sure if you get a client coming back and you have to go back to your base.
Kitambo ungezunguka uende wapi kutafuta customer umpati, ukae kwa stage uchomwe na jua bure.
Na sasa watu wote lazima wabadilishe mitindo na mazoea ili kuafiki malengo ya teknolojia.
Teknolojia sasa ikibadilika, nami pia nitabadilika.
If you are not, technology will get you out.
Sasa ni wazi kuwa biashara hutegemea sana mfumo wa teknolojia. Lame Kaungo, Lookuptv kwenye taarifa kuu.
It's time to restart, rescale and talk about health matters.
If you get exposed to high fluoride between 0 to 12 years, your teeth will be permanently discolored.
Wake up, eat healthy and keep fit. With the help of health experts, we will help you understand different health conditions and how to treat them.
Dental fluorosis is an irreversible condition that affects the outer layer of your tooth.
This is your health journal. My name is Wanjugu Washira.
Every Wednesday from 8:30 p.m.
Everything will be well discussed here on this platform.
Only on Lookuptv.
Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. All right, now this morning, then we're going to get into that particular conversation for the bipartisan talks. It's very, very important for us to ask whether indeed they're bipartisan talks or not, because all of a sudden now, it looks as if the agenda has been agreed upon, going by the conversations and submissions of those committee members, most notably Kalonzo Musyoka and Kimani Ichung'wah. Good. Joining us this morning in the studio, we do have Callistus Wafula, who is the Secretary General, Operational Linda Ugatuzi. How are you doing again, sir?
I'm fine.
Karibu sana. Online, we are joined by Prof. Macharia Munene. Prof, how are you doing, sir?
So far, so good.
Happy to have you around. Also, we're waiting to be joined shortly by Maimuna Mwidau, who's a political analyst. Good. Let me start with you, Prof. All of a sudden now, it looks as if they agreed on the agenda to talk about in these negotiations, going by the submissions of one Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka, who came in and said, well, we are going to put Kenyans' needs ahead of our negotiations. Is that an indication that opening of the IEBC servers, talks on the cost of living are essentially also going to be part of the negotiations now?
Well, there never was a serious difference. Never two camps. Because the bottom line is what William Ruto wants and what Raila Odinga wants.
Yes.
Because these groups are representing those two men. And without those two men, there is no talking. So they have been, I guess, advised to go ahead and talk about some things.
Yes.
While protecting or looking after the interests of the principals.
Yes.
And the principals are Raila Odinga and William Ruto. So now it's just a routine go ahead, and they can talk about whatever they want to talk about.
When you look at the submissions, Prof, yesterday of one Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka, is that an indication that whatever Ruto is saying and whatever Raila is saying about the possibility of a no handshake negotiation, that is what we have on the table?
Well, see, the word handshake and mkate
yes,
have become terminologies. So no one wants to be associated with what is perceptibly negative. But they are cutting a deal. That's what they are doing. Whether they're meeting bombers or some hotels or the State House or Karen, they are just cutting a deal.
Yes.
And the question is agreeing on the language of the deal. And for Kalonzo, I think he was given an assignment to look for a job for himself because Raila has a job. If things go the way they are anticipated, Raila has a job. And Kalonzo is the one in the wilderness together with those other people who were added the other day as support battalions.
Yes.
Jeremiah Tony and Mwangi Wairia.
Yes.
So they were left in the. So now they were added there as technicians or technical backup. But the bottom line is for Kalonzo to negotiate a place for himself in the deal that is being cut.
Yes.
And Kimani already has a job. He's the leader in parliament, the majority. He has a good job, state job. So the others are going to be getting state jobs, whether they call those state jobs leader of the official opposition or official opposition leader, whichever. It's a job because it will be state paid. And since, if you look at the Ishongwa side proposal, they were talking about creating the position of the leader, official leader of the opposition. And if you look at the Raila side, they have some statement somewhere about being included or opening up the governance and those kind of things. It's the same language, so they are cutting a deal. And for Kalonzo, it's up to him to negotiate whether there will be deputy leaders of the opposition.
Yes.
So that they can get something. And maybe they might come up with about 3-4 deputies and assistant deputies of the official leader of the opposition. If they come up with those things, and then the others are side shoots, peppering over interest. So that's what I expect. So whatever they come up with at Bombers, it will be a deal to make both sides happy.
Yes.
So the RUTO side, there was no handshake, there was no Nusumkate. But if we saw something right, I don't know whether it was so right or not. But Kalonzo and the Ishongwa shook hands, didn't they? So to say that there will be no handshake, they shook hands. And
is that your definition of the handshake?
And RUTO met in Mombasa, just the two of them together with Obasanjo. I'm sure they shook hands. You know, so this language is just to confuse people, but they are cutting a deal.
That's it. Clistus, it's the very first time I've had that kind of representation by the of what a possible handshake is essentially is. They say, prophesying, look here, Raila Amolo Odinga, as it stands, has a job.
Yes.
And if anything, is the official leader of opposition, and they've agreed that they're going to come up with the office of the opposition. That has not been discounted from either side.
Yes.
So if at all, this deal that they're going to talk about is to give Kalonzo Musyoka and the rest of them a job in this deal. So whether we like it or not, there is a deal that is getting discussed in these talks. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. I agree with the Prof because it is coming out clearly is that they are talking about how they will share something that we don't know. Because you can't tell me they are having a conversation about Kenya, and yet they have denied other Kenyans chance to participate. As from Linda Ukatusi, we had proposed that the Media Council of Kenya to lead the conversation. And why did we say so? We said so because we believe the media has the capacity to bring on table the right prey, which could have helped us to analyze information, what they want, all the teams, including, and the proposal should come from all the entire organization in the country. We can say civil societies are supposed to be on that table, judge leaders are supposed to be on that table, professionals, private sector. There are people of common interest whom we consider, in our view as Linda Ukatusi, that if they could have been brought on the table, we could have discussed issues concerning Kenyans. What is happening now In fact, it is showing the highest level of hypocrisy. When Raila wants to talk to William Ruto, and he goes there with his azimio brigade, Ruto also has left church leaders whom he normally walk around with.
Yes.
He is now going to talk to Raila, and they are organizing their talk in a manner. It's just like telling Turkanas to Pandits to talk to Pokot Pandits.
Yes.
They will not agree. These are Pandits. And politicians are the people who have created the problem we are facing in the country. Right now, as we talk, as in Ilinda Okatus, we are filing a case against this government not to continue paying or financing, paying debt that we consider it was unauthorized, and the debt that you cannot link to any development. They have borrowed a huge amount of money. But when you analyze what we are getting to the development, there is nothing that you can link directly. So Kenyans cannot continue paying debts which did not reach the intended purpose. If they did not invest those money in projects, why are we paying? That's why we have gone to court, and by 11 today we shall be at the Mlimani Court.
Yes.
To challenge the government not to continue overtaxing people and paying debts that did not we did not incur. So one thing we are talking about this bipartisan approach is that they are talking about cost of living. Cost of living is high as a result of cost of production. Again, cost of production is what has killed employment. So we are importing things, like now I can give you an example. We are importing MDF from Tanzania and Uganda. So meaning Kenyans have employed Tanzanian and Uganda. These are things that we need to manufacture from our country. We have timber, we have everything. So what we are lacking is that we have overtaxed people to a point where even putting up a business is a problem. And those are the things we wanted to bring on the table. And we said clearly that the Media Council of Kenya to lead the conversation. And why we said so, because even the presidential debate were organized by media. Why is it that the media help these people to reach on power? When they reach there, they ignore them. I also want to tell media, the media fraternity in the country, that they stop chasing this politician. Like today we are going to have a press conference at the Milimani Court. You will see them chasing where Ruto is at the Kachakwa. In fact, if Ruto is in central Kenya, the media houses should now explain to people the problems of central, because they have gone there launching projects that were already launched by Uhuru Kenyatta. They are relaunching projects. And in Rift Valley, to make the matter worse, in Rift Valley they are doing many things, but they are not launching. So why call launch projects in central Kenya for political expedience? And Kachakwa, Ikimani, Chungwa, Ndindi Nyoro, they don't have the capacity to lead the people of central region.
Yes.
Because they have demonstrated so by playing what we call childish behavior. You can't show leadership by showing that you are a puppet to somebody. So they are taking president there, relaunching projects that were launched by the former president. They are doing less, but in Rift Valley there are so many things that are happening under the table. So we are telling the country, we are having a leadership that is dishonest, and we have an opposition that is disorganized, because they are chasing their personal greed.
Yes.
And that is what I can say.
Pretty much. Prof, I want to point you out to what happened yesterday then. And if you look at the summary that the Standard newspaper did about the 1 year that the president has been in office, they said that the only thing that we can point out to is subsidized fertilizer. The others are neither here nor there. But then they pointed out to one thing, that still there is a government that is fully in the campaign mode. Now, yesterday, RUTO and Gachagua hit the streets and they denounced the possibility of a handshake. In fact, they said there is no way we are going to talk about a power sharing deal in these conversations. So, Prof, when you look at that particular situation right there, number one, if indeed we have agreed to talk, yesterday the committee met, they set the rules for the negotiation or discussion, whatever it is I want to call it right now, and then they said these are the issues that we want to talk about. Why is the president and the deputy president still on the street telling Kenyans what they want to get from those negotiations when, in as much as we are concerned, those negotiations have already begun?
See, the president and his deputy regarding, these are politicians.
Yes.
And so is Raila, and Kim, and Kalonzo, and
Yes.
Martha. Our politicians. And they play to the political gallery. So, as I pointed out a little earlier, handshakes, some cutters, but all those are dirty expressions. And politicians don't want to be associated with something that sounds dirty.
Yes.
Such as the hand or the nusu mkate. So they'll find some nice language to talk about the same thing. And that's what's going on. Just change of language here and there.
Yes.
As they go ahead and cut a deal where that is in their perceived interests.
Yes.
It is that the RUTO administration, the roughly 1 year, it's not a year yet, since they were inaugurated in September, but they were elected in August. That 1 year has been rough. It's been rough because RUTO and Gachagua has not done very well in a number of areas. They've made some blunders, very clear blunders that made them look not so good. The international environment has